This is Miss Tev recording from room 114. I stopped by to see the girls basketball team crush Bellingham, and in case you guys didn't know, teachers have homework too. So here goes my video titled 3 Roots of the Great Depression, and you guys should know from my outline that this is the second half of causes. It's on the back if you're following my outline, and I want you guys just to know before I get started that a root is really a deeper issue. It's contributes to the length and severity of the Great Depression. So as a quick summary, what we'll be talking about today is the uneven distribution of income, the loss of export sales, and mistakes by the Federal Reserve. And this is a little storyboard to kind of illustrate some of those concepts. And even check out the map of Europe and the guy saying no money, right, because of the reparations that Germany had to try to pay. Let's now go to the first. So guys, for uneven distribution of income under number 1, I'm going to be getting right into overproduction. And these 2 pictures just kind of sum it up. I want you guys to put down that World War I, boosted the economy, and the manufacturing really did increase, but this did not match the wages for the factory worker. So you can also check out what Uncle Sam is putting on board, and it really does exaggerate, but it shows you that our economy was deeply affected. So we just produced too much, guys, too much. Under B, guys, I want you to understand that this uneven distribution of income really did affect especially the working class. And so put down for B, guys, that 2/3 of families really did not have disposable income. And I want you guys to know that disposable income is that extra pocket money, right? So people during this time period, guys, put all of their earnings, right, all of their money towards living expenses. Think of our budget today. Things like, food and electric and rent or mortgage. All that, so you have no money in your pocket. You guys should note the glamour of these advertisements. It certainly does, encourage people to buy even what they can't afford, to try to be like these glamorous women. So just think about the effect of advertising here. And for C, I want you to know what an installment plan is, and it's illustrated pretty well with this advertisement. So define it as a monthly payment system that allowed families to stretch their budget. So really super simple, right? Give me $3 and you can take home this typewriter, and then you can owe more later. So I do think it kind of got families off track when they didn't realize how much debt they were taking on. But they certainly, guys, it has a lot of social consequences because people just wanted to, fit in and do what everyone else was doing. So guys, for a chain of events under D, I just want you to first read what these men are advertising, right? The enormity of unemployment we're going to really get into for the next screencast, but just read what they have on their chest there. And just fill in, guys, for my chain of events. This is just the way history works, right? Cause and effect. So put down first that consumers, couldn't keep purchasing. They just could not keep the spending. They had to, slow down. That obviously cuts down in sales, and manufacturing then slows down production because they're not, they're not selling as much. That then results in companies needing to lay off workers, right? They have to cut costs. And a good window into our economy in 1930 is that 26,000 businesses collapsed. So they all had to lay off their workers. So just try and think about what that effect would be like. Number 2, guys, is pretty simple. Loss of export sales really, again, brings us back to World War I. And this picture of a tank is just a reminder that, the production, the mass scale is no longer needed. And really, manufacturing, guys, we just produce too much. And so we really needed to kind of sell more goods abroad, especially, farm goods, but even machinery. And you guys should know for B that in post-World War I Europe, they were already in a deep recession. They couldn't afford U.S. goods. And the US government kind of took it upon themselves to try to help American uh, businesses. And so what they do is they pass what's called undersea guys the Hawley-Smoot tariff. And over in this little pig here, it says Smoot-Hawley, but in your notes, guys, I abbreviate it as HS. So I do want you guys to put down that it was the conservative Republicans' solution, right, to the sluggish economy. And they raised tariffs to the highest levels in history. And it had monumental repercussions. Tariffs, you guys, discouraged trade. And so what ended up happening is other countries raised their tariffs almost in response to ours. And so prices went up on both continents. Lastly, guys, exports dropped. And that really does hurt American companies, right? Because they're not making their sales. And just to repeat again, Europe can't afford the higher prices. Here's just a great cartoon. You guys should know HH is Herbert Hoover, the president member who defeats the Democrat overwhelmingly. And the crows, just check out, they spell hard times. And we'll talk about what the scarecrow symbolizes as farm relief. But in a nutshell, guys, Herbert Hoover didn't help the farmers. So here we go. Last but not least, mistakes by the Federal Reserve. Before you guys finish up this outline, just make sure you review that the Fed was established during the Progressive Era to regulate the banking industry. Its main jobs, you guys, was to control interest rates by increasing or decreasing them, right? And that would stabilize currency and manage people's loans and debt ratio. All right. So let's go with interest rates in the 1920s. Under A, guys, I want you to know that the Fed kept them low. And what that does is it encourages more spending, right? So under B, guys, banks gave out more loans to consumers, even to companies. You guys should know that this is risky. People buy, or meaning borrow, too much. And banks, you guys, are gambling on whether those loans will be paid back. Higher interest rates do discourage purchasing and borrowing because you will have to owe a lot more in the end. Before I move on, I want you guys just to look at what happens to the interest rates. So they do dip and they fall really low here, and then the Fed tries to increase them, and then it really does. Here's where people are not spending. This is the Great Depression in a good visual example. All right, so I do want you guys to stay with me here on the ripple effect. That just means that, things just keep a forward motion here. So low rates lead businesses and leaders to think that the economy is still growing. Okay, and this then produces this like overproduction because they want to borrow more money to, grow their companies, but then people aren't spending as much and buying from those extra goods. So as the demand goes down, guys, companies had to cut their production rates even more. So what is the Fed's response? I'm on D. Raise interest rates and tighten credit. So that, guys, makes it harder to get a loan. And even if you qualify for one, you'll, owe more. And I do want you guys to, talk to somebody at home, because the closest we've come to this was in 2008. I want you to ask one of your parents, even a grandparent, how the recession affected them, and they will definitely have an answer for you. So just write that down as the last part of your notes. And this is Miss Tev signing off. It's time for me to go to bed. I hope you guys enjoyed my screencast, and I hope there weren't too many glitches. Night, night.